Hey yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is Saturday, April the 7th, 2018, and NXT TakeOver New Orleans was an absolutely emotional thrill ride, full of brutality and absolutely dramatic action, and we are here to talk about it right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of YouTube, baby! The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, is my trusty tag team, the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones, Blue the Snowball, and the Wrestling God of Thunder, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and we are here to talk about tonight's absolutely spectacular NXT TakeOver New Orleans. As we already knew, this was going to be maybe the best show of the weekend. 5 absolutely tremendous matchups, each one telling a completely different story than the last, and each story was executed to absolute perfection. The in-ring action was, as expected, 100% top-notch, and we are going to go over this card up and down right now. Let's get started and pull up the match card screen, and let's go to how we kicked off the night with the North American Championship 6-man championship ladder match, and it was a ladder match for the ages. Razor and Shawn would be proud. These guys all left their soul in the ring. I have never before seen such brutality and such beautiful wrestling as the debut of Ricochet did not disappoint. This guy was all over the place. He was flying through the air like a majestic eagle, and it was absolutely beautiful. The spot fest, if you want to call it that, it was fantastic. Everything that happened in this, there's no way I could even cover it all to you. If you did not see TakeOver New Orleans, for whatever reason, you have to go back and watch it. I cannot do this pay-per-view justice. One of the reasons why we don't cover NXT on such a regular basis is it makes it very hard for a reviewer to talk about when my jaw was simply just dropped to the floor for a half of the goddamn show. It was absolutely ridiculous. The Velveteen Dream was the clear crowd favorite, although they were very heavily behind Adam Cole as well. EC3 had some fantastic spots in his very, very good debut match on NXT television. These two behemoths were absolutely terrifying. Lars Sullivan is a monster. You want to talk about monster among men, you got to look at Lars Sullivan. This man is inhuman. The things he was pulling off tonight, he caught Killian Dane like he was a sack of potatoes. Like he weighed absolutely nothing. Killian Dane is a huge beast in and of himself. Holy cow. Lars Sullivan, absolutely impressive. Killian Dane, impressive himself. These guys at one point had Ricochet and were tossing him around the ring, and the other would one-up the other guy, trying to do it better. I'm going to throw him around better than you. And then they were both putting people through ladders on the outside. We had 3 ladders set up and all 6 men vying for the belt, trying to get their hands on it. And my prediction for the ending of this match was 100% absolutely wrong. I really thought they were going to go with the Velveteen Dream, or perhaps give it to Ricochet upon arrival. And they went with the one guy I said they weren't going to give him to, because I expected Adam Cole to be elevated into the NXT Championship scene. I did not realize that Drew McIntyre was on his way back, as we found that out tonight through some promo packages during the pre-show. And he is fully expecting to have his rematch, and he's probably going to be the first program with Aleister Black as soon as he gets back into the NXT ring. So that being said, I don't disagree with it. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. And everything else that transpired on this night makes it even greater, as the Undisputed Era had a fantastic night tonight. Adam Cole in this ladder match was your winner. It was a fantastic match. And to start off the evening with this and get everybody all amped up on a match like this, you knew you were in for one hell of a show. If they needed to start the show with this to get this out of the way almost, you knew the rest of the show was not going to disappoint, and it did not. The North American Championship now resides on the shoulder of Adam Cole, baby! And it's absolutely fantastic. I'm so looking forward to seeing where they go with that and who his first opponent will be tomorrow at Access. Interestingly enough, I'll try to find out about that and bring that news to you as soon as it's available to me. But I'm more interested in seeing what his first program will be as we start up NXT again post WrestleMania. Now, the tag team triple threat match. This is something I gotta give credit to subscriber Marv. Is it Mars or Marv? I forgot your name. I'm sorry, buddy. Marv. The guy that's always yelling in the comment section with his capital letters. But he called this shit and I didn't even see it coming. He predicted the end of this match, and I don't know why I didn't even think of it. It was absolutely genius, and the way it came off tonight in the middle of this brutal tag team triple threat match, the Authors of Pain, man. Let me tell you something. I'm glad they didn't win this match, and I hope, against all hope, that they end up on SmackDown Live this week in the show following WrestleMania. Let's reset the year, let's start, and let's get these guys up to the main roster. They deserve it. This match tonight was all about the power of the Authors of Pain and how many chapters they can put in the book of pain, and they definitely did just that. But in the end of this match, it would not be about the Authors of Pain, nor would it be about Pete Dunne in any way, as we had a beautiful turn, a beautiful, unexpected, at least by me, turn by Mr. Roderick Strong, as Pete Dunne hit the bitter end on Kyle O'Reilly, going to get the win for his team and win the Dusty Cup and win the NXT Tag Team Championships. Roderick Strong from out of nowhere breaks up the count and then hits Pete Dunne with the friggin' amazing flipping, it was some kind of flipping knee drop. Everybody's doing these double knee flip things, and I love every single one of them. It's absolutely fantastic. And then he would cover Pete Dunne with the lifeless corpse of Kyle O'Reilly, giving the win to the Undisputed Era. He would then rip the armband off of Adam Cole and then place it on himself, and the Undisputed Era now are a faction of 4. And they hold a whole lot of gold, as Adam Cole is the championship replacement for Bobby Fish in the Tag Team Championship division, and he is now the North American Champion. I expect him to hand that Tag Team title belt to Roderick Strong in the future and allow Roderick Strong to be the replacement and defend the Tag Team titles with Kyle O'Reilly as long as Bobby Fish is on the sidelines. There's no timetable, at least that I'm aware of, for his return. That would be a great way to give them a new tag team if that's the reason they did this. Great. I love factions, the Undisputed Era. I don't really like the name still, but I'm over it, and they are a great team, and I expect big things in NXT as we lead our way to the biggest party of the summer, and NXT Brooklyn TakeOver, where he's going to probably be defending that beautiful North American Championship, most likely against somebody like Ricochet. And I can't wait to see that go down. That's just speculation as of right now, but the Undisputed Era are still your tag team champions, thanks to that sneaky bastard Roderick Strong. Holy shit. Fantastic. This match ended the show and should not be in this place. We are going to go down the card because we have to keep things going the way we want them to go. Let's talk about this women's match. This women's match, let me tell you something about Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler is the most terrifying woman I have ever seen. I loved the story in this match where Shayna Baszler dislocated her shoulder and then put it back in Lethal Weapon style like Mel Gibson would and just bashed it against the ring post a couple of times until that bad boy was back in place. She then didn't really use the arm for the rest of the match and was still able to find a way to wrap up Ember Moon, and Ember Moon did not tap out. She did not tap out. She did not give up. She just lost consciousness. Her body went limp, and the ref called for the bell. I thought that was a little odd. The ending was a little bit weird. I just... Why didn't he, like, raise the arm for the 3 count? He just, like, called for the bell. Like, oh, she's asleep. This is over. He didn't even try to check and see if she was conscious. He just assumed she was asleep. And then as soon as Shayna Baszler released the hold, Ember Moon seemed to be okay. Like, awake. Not okay, but awake. So, like, I don't know. That's just a little inconsistent to me. It seemed almost like a blown spot at the end. Like, he didn't even check. The match was just almost suddenly over. And we now have a new women's champion in NXT. And it is Shayna Baszler. Now, I did say I thought Ember Moon was going to be the winner in this scenario. My predictions for the lower and mid card of the show did not fare very well. As I did think Ember Moon was going to remain and they were going to extend this feud on into Brooklyn, giving Shayna Baszler the title there, as TakeOver Brooklyn is generally considered the NXT WrestleMania, not the one that actually takes place during WrestleMania weekend. But they pulled the trigger on it now, and I'm okay with it. You know, she did have an excellent showing in her first title attempt against Ember Moon, where Ember Moon pretty much didn't win that match. Ember Moon didn't lose their match. She just survived it. She got out of there by the skin of her teeth and just barely kept that title. So it makes sense, I guess, in this case, to move the title along to Miss Baszler, and now she is the women's champion. She celebrated with Rowdy Ronda Rousey and whoever the other one was, Jessamine Duke or whatever the others, I don't know which one it was, Marina Shafir, I don't know. I don't pay attention to these things. I saw Sasha Banks during the show in the crowd. I saw Shane McMahon at ringside for 90% of the show, but I did not care to see Ronda Rousey or her friend, but they were there to support Shayna Baszler, the 4 horsewomen. We get it. Who cares? Let's move along. Shayna Baszler is now our NXT Women's Champion. Let's see where they go from here. Who will be her first contestant after Ember Moon, I guess, gets her rematch clause? And maybe that'll happen at TakeOver 4 in Brooklyn. Next up, the championship match. Now, when this match took place before the grudge match with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, I knew that we were really going to be in for a doozy with that main event. And normally in this scenario, I would not be happy when a world championship is not featured as the last match on the card. But there are 2 things that make it okay in this scenario. One is that it is an unsanctioned match. So essentially you would want them to finish the official show first and then have the match that doesn't really count under NXT rules after the official NXT show has concluded. So it does make sense that way if you understand what I mean. And in the same light, you don't want to have that match open the show, being that it was going to be such an emotional roller coaster of a match. The crowd clearly would have been exhausted, whether it was the first match or right in the middle of the card. And being that it was unsanctioned, it wouldn't make sense for it to be in the middle of the show, because NXT is not recognizing that this match is even happening. So it makes sense. It was a smart little thing that they could do to make it seem just a little bit more legit. And I appreciate those things, and I think it's okay in this particular scenario. Had this just been a regular NXT sanctioned match and it was Gargano versus Champa and under regular rules and they did something like this, then maybe my tune would be a little bit different and I'd be whistling a little different kind of Dixie than you used to. But that is my reasoning for why I'm okay with it. Other than that, this match, the story of this match was the acquisition of Zelina Vega and how throughout the entirety of Almas's championship reign, she has been the key. She was the catalyst that ignited the fire underneath him that made him into the Almas that we have seen today. She has also stuck her nose in at every single turn where it does not belong and has helped him retain that championship whenever she could. One of the main reasons he won the championship from Drew McIntyre was because of Zelina Vega's involvement in the first place, and that is the trend that has continued with this pairing. It has been absolutely executed flawlessly, and in this match, it would not only happen multiple times, but it would be the reason for the losing of the heavyweight championship by Almas to Aleister Black in an absolutely brutal matchup. I keep saying that word brutal because that's what this show was. It was absolute brutality. Beautifully choreographed brutality that just every single thing made sense. This match was all about that Black Mass kick. Like I said, all he needed to do was hit that kick. And when he did, even Zelina Vega knew the match was over because she was the reason why that first initial pinfall did not happen when he hit the first Black Mass kick. The rest of the match would be about Andrade Cien Almas constantly coming back every single time you think Aleister Black was going to have the advantage. Almas was the one that would come out on top. His psychology during this match was absolutely fantastic. He seemed to be one step ahead of Aleister Black at every single turn. He definitely did his homework. Whether he did it or Vega did it, it doesn't make a difference. Somebody was taking notes, and they were on their game. Zelina Vega hit him with a beautiful Hurricanrana to the outside. She tried to do the same thing on the inside of the ring towards the end of this match, as this was a back and forth battle between two absolutely exhausted men by the time we got to the end of this matchup. And Zelina Vega tried one too many times. She went to the well just one too many times as she went to the top rope and would go to execute a body splash on Aleister Black. He would move out of the way. Almas would catch her, not wanting to drop her or her to come to any harm. He would not release her quick enough and would end up on the receiving end of that vicious Black Mass kick, getting the 1, 2, 3 count. The crowd was on fire and the championship fades to black. Like I said on the preview show, it was time for that to happen, and it definitely did. Aleister Black, our new NXT heavyweight champion of the world, and it's fantastic. The match was great. I don't want Andrade Cien Almas to get a rematch. That might be mean for me to say, but I want him to go to the main roster immediately. Bring Zelina Vega with you. It's an absolutely perfectly paired packaging, and he deserves to be on the main roster right now. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, either one of these guys can use the talents of Andrade Cien Almas. He is absolutely amazing. He is amazing. And I will be the first one to tell you that much like in the case with Braun Strowman, when he first stepped foot in NXT, I had no expectations for him. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with the Cien Almas. He was putting on good matches, but there was just something about his character coming out in the suspenders with his little Peter Pan hat, and I just didn't dig it. I wasn't with it. But then you had Vega come in and absolutely repackage him into what he is now. He's embracing his lucha side. He's showing us the mask. He's coming out. He's ripping it off. He just carries himself like a champion. All he wanted was a little bit of respect, and he was going to beat it out of Aleister Black. He definitely got some fantastic shots in. This match was a barn burner. It was unbelievable. Go back and watch it if you missed it. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's absolutely one of the best heavyweight title matches you will see all year long. Fantastic. And now, the pieza de resistance, the match of the night, the grudge match to end all grudge matches. I thought they were going to fight all the way through WrestleMania tomorrow. I didn't think this match was going to end before midnight at least. These guys seemed to have each other's number. They were very, very... so hard to describe. They were just so intent on beating the shit out of each other. And like I said to you guys on the preview show, their match in the Cruiserweight Classic was great. But they were friends. And they beat the snot out of each other then. Tonight, it was a take-no-prisoners attitude. They were out there to hurt one another. Johnny Gargano wanted to gain his vengeance and come back to NXT. And Tommaso Ciampa wanted to foil that at every single turn. And let's be honest for a second. I'm going to tell you guys that I was not pulling for Johnny Gargano in this scenario. And not for any other reason than the very same reason why I don't want Almas to get a rematch. I want Johnny Gargano on the main roster. And while this match was going down, and I still believed that Gargano was going to lose this matchup and be gone from NXT forever, I thought to myself, man, how great would it be, since Shane McMahon is sitting at ringside throughout this whole show anyway, that he was kind of scouting for a replacement. And tomorrow night, during WrestleMania, without anybody knowing, he announces his replacement for the match with Daniel Bryan, and he brings out Johnny Gargano. Pretty much Daniel Bryan 2.0. The second most over man, or third most over act in all of pro wrestling right now. You got Daniel Bryan, you got Rusev Day, and you got Johnny Wrestling. Those are the three top things in the WWE right now. And how great would that be at WrestleMania, teaming those two guys together, only to have Shane McMahon in the end turn around and cost them the match, regaining employment for Owens and Zayn. This was all a big ruse by Shane McMahon the whole time. He turns heel and then costs Daniel Bryan his big return and costs Johnny Gargano his first big WrestleMania win and gives him a loss in his WrestleMania debut. How much more heel heat could you generate for Shane McMahon going into the new wrestling year following WrestleMania by establishing him as that much of a villain, as that much of a dick, right alongside of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and foiling the attempts of a guy like Johnny Gargano at WrestleMania? How loved he is. Can you imagine how bad the heat would be on poor Shane O'Mac? That would be the only reason why I didn't want Gargano to win and regain his NXT employment. I thought that moment would rival last year's Hardy moment at WrestleMania 33. The crowd would go absolutely berserk. I think it would be great. But I don't, obviously, with the way the matchup turned out, that's not what we are going to get tomorrow. At least, it doesn't look like we'll get it tomorrow night. It's still absolutely a possibility, and I can cross my fingers, but I won't cross them too hard because I don't want to break them. Alright, so this match was barely even that. This was a street fight. This was two men trying to kill each other for personal reasons, and it was scripted perfectly. It went on so long, but it was great. It wasn't so long in a negative way. They just kept coming at each other. Neither one of them willing to quit. Until at the very end of this encounter, when Johnny Gargano seemingly had the upper hand, he went to go beat Tommaso Ciampa with half of a crutch. After he broke a crutch in half, he went to take the upper half and just absolutely decimate Ciampa. But he has too much heart. He's too much of a good person, and he couldn't do it to his former best friend. He couldn't do that kind of a thing to his former partner, and he held up just long enough for Ciampa to get the edge once again. But the story would come down to Tommaso Ciampa's injured knee. Johnny Gargano would find it removed in the middle of the ring and attack him with it, and then catch him in a crossface using the knee brace right across his face. It looked absolutely painful. It was so brutal. And Champa, to my surprise, would tap out almost immediately. Johnny Gargano would gain his employment back at NXT. The crowd in that arena went absolutely apeshit. The whole night, the crowd was on fire. What a great set of wrestling fans in New Orleans. So many times during this matchup, they got on Tommaso Ciampa's case, screaming and chanting, "Fuck you, Ciampa." You don't hear that every day. That's how good of a heel Tommaso Ciampa is. He just might be the second best heel in all of wrestling, only behind Samoa Joe, because nobody's better than Joe right now. But Ciampa is a close second. The way he came out with no entrance music and absolutely just relished in the heat that he generates just by his mere presence alone. Maybe it's the beard. I don't know what it is. Or maybe it's simply just how badly he screwed over his best friend, the very beloved Johnny Gargano. Everything about this match was fantastic. The crowd was great. The talent was top notch. They really left it all out there in an effort to entertain the fans and us at home. A knockdown, drag 'em out fight that I do not believe is over. And another thing that I was hoping for, we now have the possibility of happening, which is this is only the beginning of the second round of this feud, which can culminate at Chicago, NXT Chicago, right around, I believe it's Survivor Series weekend. It could go through NXT Brooklyn and finally finish right there where this whole thing took place and began in the first place, when Ciampa attacked him and broke up DIY in that initial incursion against his best friend. And that, my friends, is how you tell a story. You come full circle with it, you finish it where it began, just like we're hoping they do with The Undertaker tomorrow night. And it would be absolutely the best way to end it, end his NXT career, and then bring them both, please, bring them both up to the main roster. But even put them on separate shows, separate brands for a while, and let them establish themselves separately, only to have them maybe by WrestleMania 35 in some sort of a way to do what they just did tonight on the main stage of WrestleMania. Imagine you gave them WrestleMania. Look what they did tonight in the main event of a takeover. Can you imagine what these two bastards could do if they were given a spot at WrestleMania? This review, I can tell you right now, does absolutely no justice to TakeOver New Orleans. So many things happened tonight that you just have to go back and see for yourself. Now, before we sign off on that note, we're going to talk about a little something called the pre-show. Now, there are 3 goons on the pre-show, 3 mooks up there: Charlie Caruso, Sam Roberts, and what the hell was his name? McAfee. Pat McAfee, former NFL punter of some sort. He is horrendous. If you watch the pre-show, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't see the NXT pre-show, don't go back and watch it. There's no match there for you to have to sit and stomach through this ridiculous 1 hour of this guy just trying too hard to be cool. He sounded like a goddamn buffoon. And then you got Sideshow Bob sitting next to him. You got Sideshow Sam Roberts, who wants to keep calling himself the last professional broadcaster. Now, in no means am I a professional broadcaster. I'm an amateur. I'm sitting here in my basement, right? In my basement apartment. I got my little mock-up studio. I'm an amateur. I'm not professional by any means. But you are not the last professional anything. Maybe you're the last professional moron. Every single time those words went through his mouth, I wanted to reach through the screen and pull his Mo, Larry, and Curly hair. You know who? Larry Fine, Mo, Larry, and Curly, the 3 Stooges. He looks like the one in the middle with the hair. Or you can call him Sideshow Bob, or you can call him Sam Roberts. Just don't call him the last professional broadcaster, because there are plenty of professional broadcasters that are way better than you, pal. I'm not amongst them. I don't claim to be one of them, so don't think that's where I'm coming from. All I know is I watch plenty of sports, right? I watch all kinds of ESPN and Fox Sports and, Yes Network. I see plenty of professional broadcasters. You ain't the last one, pal. You definitely ain't the first one, and I don't even want to see you be one at all. You're terrible. You're just a corporate shrill right now. He just spews WWE garbage. And the way that these three clowns tried to build up NXT TakeOver was a disservice. Not as much of a disservice as this review. My review is definitely 100 times better than that, because that was absolute garbage. This review was absolutely awesome. And you know what you could do to be awesome? You could subscribe to this channel today. Do not forget to become one of the hundreds of fans that have found out for the last year and a half that this is the place to be when you want wrestling honesty, and when you want to see wrestling done right, you come to NXT, and when you want to see reviews done right, and you want to see truth and honesty, you come to Sledgehammer TV to watch Nick Nightmare on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, to smash that thumbs up. Yeah, I said broadcast, alright? Because I'm a broadcaster. I'm not a professional broadcaster, but I aim to be, which means I could still be one, which means you ain't the last one, Sam Roberts. Bro, take it easy, Bobby. Give me a break, will you, please? And don't forget to share this video with all your wrestling buddies. Anybody you know that's a big fan of NXT, get their eyes over here. If you're watching WrestleMania tomorrow and you got a bunch of buddies with you, make sure you show them about Sledgehammer TV. Get them over here, get them to subscribe, and let's grow this army so that we can take over YouTube one subscriber at a time. And all I need is you to do so. Thank you so much for joining me for this NXT TakeOver New Orleans review. Don't forget to be here tomorrow night for the WrestleMania review. 14 fucking matchups that we are going to have to sit through between the hours of 5 and God knows when this thing goes off the air. But I will be here, and you can expect to see this hammer swinging hard, as Thor will have no fury tomorrow like the one we will bring down on WrestleMania. Thank you guys so much once again. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is Blue, the Snowball Microphone, the World Heavyweight Champion of microphones. This is the Wrestling God of Thunder, Thor, the Sledgehammer. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV, only on YouTube.com. Thank you so much. That is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Shirts!